Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second part of this mini-series. My name is Josephine Warner. I'm a former corporate executive turned entrepreneur and business growth strategist. And in this mini-series, we are kind of focusing on lead generation and how to structure your successful webinars or masterclasses so that you can build the know, like, and trust for your clients, or rather for your prospects, so that they can turn into clients. And I'm here today with virtual event specialist Angela Sandas, and I'm so happy to have you here, Angela. Welcome to today's session.
Thank you so much. And I am so excited to be here for this second part. And this second part is just going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I am so excited too. So in the first training, first mini series, we actually spoke about lead generation, and we gave you 3 really important points to consider to actually fill your masterclass or your webinar. So if you haven't watched that yet, go back and watch that. You can watch it after this one. You don't need to watch the first one first and this one the second, or at least I don't think so, because we'll see what comes out of this one. But so go back and watch that one too, because that really has some important nuggets too. But today we're going to talk about the presentation or the masterclass itself. And we are focusing on shorter masterclasses, because that is something that we've seen. And especially, Angela, you can talk way more about this, but maybe just as an introduction, it's like what we've seen, there have been some significant shifts these past maybe year, maybe this past 6 months. People are busy, people have attended so many events, and what we see is the trend that shorter events, masterclasses, webinars is the thing way forward. So maybe you can add a couple of words to that, Angela.
I mean, if we look online, there is so much information. There's an overabundance of information, tactics, strategies. You can just go on social media and you can feel it, right? So people's kind of have a hard time knowing what to focus on. So they get a little bit distracted. It's easy to see a lot of things. So what we have seen is that the shorter virtual events now converts higher than ever, right? They are amazing, but they don't look the same as they did before. That is one reason we do this mini training in the first place. But yeah, running these kind of small events, they're easy to run. You can do lead generation for a very short period of time. You can throw them up like this. You can use them in doing only specific lead gen. You can use them for so much, and they are amazing to have built out, and you can take them onto other stages, other people's stages in podcasts and summits and all those kind of things. So that is why we kind of wanted to speak specifically about the shorter events, the one that you host for maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, and that is such a good point that you're making. So we are using my own masterclass that I held a couple of weeks ago as a little bit our case study for this session. But at the point you made, that once you've held these things, first of all, you will repeat them. Like, you will become better at them, and people you like better and better. But the other thing is that I'm currently discussing with a global female organization to bring that presentation to them. So it's not as if you need to reinvent the wheel every time you're going to do a presentation. You can actually use the same masterclass that you have built once. You might, depending on the audience, you might want to take out certain points like the pitch itself, for example. But if we talk about these masterclasses, and today we're going to talk about the structure of them. And I know you have a couple of bullet points that you see, Angela, which are really, really, really key. So if you give us the bullet points that you've identified, and then we will talk a little bit more about them in detail.
Yeah, so this is specifically for the presentation. So lead generation, presentation, sales, those are kind of, and the follow-up, those are kind of the component. This is the presentation in itself, where you are live with the audience. So one of the first thing is storytelling, how that have changed and what kind of stories. The other thing is the teaching part in itself, how to structure that, and what to pick and what to teach and how to teach it. The other way is, of course, the pitch. I hate the word pitch. The invitation to your offer, the bridge into your offer, when you open your card and say, hey, come and join me. And the other way, the way that you actually show up, how you show up, in what kind of energy, and in what way you actually show up. So those are the 4 key components.
Yeah, and I really like them, and I can definitely say that those were the key, because this wasn't the first time that I've held like a live event or anything. This wasn't the first time that that I've sold my offers based from an event. But this was the first time. First of all, it was the first time that I held such a short event. I've never held a masterclass before. I was a little bit nervous about how can I fit everything in that I really want to pack in, and then invite people to come and join our new offer. But I think the piece that, if we start with the storytelling piece, and that is a piece where we've both been to webinars or events where people are like, either they don't say anything about themselves, or they talk about themselves for so long that you're like, okay, so when are we going to look into what it is that I'm here for in the first place, right? So the storytelling piece is like, how does in my case now, how does my story, how does your story fit into this picture? How can you build authority and expertise based on who you are, what it is that you do, what you've experienced, and to kind of leverage that for your offer? And you usually say, Angela, it's not about like where you grew up and how many siblings you had and whatnot, depending obviously on your offer, but you don't need to know my whole story. I don't need to do a PowerPoint presentation for 20 minutes from the moment I was born until I quit corporate or whatever it might be, to actually be able to take people on the journey, to share who I am and what I stand for. Do you want to add anything to the storytelling piece?
Well, what we have seen is the shift in what kind of stories do we tell and how do we tell them. You want to learn how to identify the parts in your stories that are relevant for your audience to make a decision. Okay. And once you have done that, you can now pull out those parts and lay them out inside of your presentation. Because a lot of people kind of talk about the story in the beginning, and that is amazing. You should do that. But what happens is that they talk about themselves for 20 minutes, and they make the entire webinar about themselves instead about the audience. And you want to understand and learn how to identify what should I talk about that leads my people into a decision. How to understand those key kind of components, because I can promise you, you have so many stories that you want to talk about, but you want to learn how to identify what will actually make them take a decision at the end of my webinar.
Absolutely. How are they relevant for the offer? The second piece you touched upon was overteaching. I can definitely, I say, yep, definitely been there, definitely done that. Because we want to give. And what we do then, what happens then is that people are like, okay, thank you so much. Either they are totally overwhelmed and doesn't understand anything, or they think that, yeah, now I have everything I need. Now I go ahead and I'll do it on my own, but they won't. Like every time when we hold a masterclass, we try to follow up with as many people as possible afterwards. And we usually ask them, so how are you getting along? Have you been able to implement the things? And seldom someone says, yeah, I got it all. I now have whatever it might be, depending on what the offer was. In my case, it was like building and growing your LinkedIn audience. None of them that I've followed up with has come back and said, yeah, I'm on it. My profile looks amazing. My audience grows and I've made 5 sales already. None of them, right? So about the overteaching, what are kind of like the risks that you see with overteaching, Angela?
Yeah, so first of all, we are born teachers, so we want to teach. But if you hold a webinar to teach something and to teach people how to do things, you're kind of missing the entire point, because there's 2 things that is going to happen. And I'm sorry, the sun is coming in here, so I'm moving. But it's either that you teach them so much how-to stuff that they don't need your offer. So they think like, okay, I'm going to implement on those things first, then I'm going to buy. Okay. And that rarely happens. So that is one thing, but that is the smallest problem. The biggest problem over teaching is overwhelm your audience. So they feel like it was too much. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do it. And you might think that will make them buy, but it actually is not going to make them buy. That you feel, okay, but I overwhelmed them, so they will now buy my offer, so they know what to do. No, they're not going to buy. That is what's going to happen, because you have over kind of burn their brain with information. And information alone has kind of not the same value, because there is so much information out. Because if we kind of got the result from information alone, we would all be happy and skinny and look whatever that we want, but we are not, right? There is some things missing. So you do not want to overwhelm them with more information. Okay. So that is kind of moving away from this. I know it's a fine line to walk on. It's really easy to overwhelm. You are going to do it. You are going to overteach. You don't need to be afraid. It's going to happen. Okay. I have done it. Josephine has done it. But it's kind of holding back on the service person that lives inside here and understanding, where did I teach them too much? Where did I lose them? Where they either thought that they can do it on their own or overwhelm them.
Exactly. And if we move to I think the biggest piece that so many are a little bit afraid of is like, how do I kind of like open the doors to my offer? How do I pitch, that so many say? And how is that done in the best way?
I mean, so we can hold an entire session about this. There's so much to say about that. But the first thing that you want to understand is move away from this pitching in the end of the webinar. If you run a webinar and you teach, pitch, what is going to happen? It's going to be an awkward moment, both for you, but also for your audience. And your mind is going to be focused, oh my God, I need to sell pitch. Here comes the pitch. Oh, what is going to happen here? You want to understand that you are actually selling from the moment they join, because that is when their journey starts. This webinar is not for you. This webinar is for them. And if you show up with the things that the story, teaching the right kind of stuff, not too much, you are actually already leading them into your offer. The entire webinar is actually a bridge. And when you understand that and build it that way, it's not going to be awkward. It's just going to say, hey, now I have taught you all of this. Now you need to know, now you know what you need to do. And I'm offering you to come and join me, and we will do it together. It's an invitation. Move away from this pitching. Leave pitching in 2023, okay? And understand that it's an invitation and an opportunity. And if you kind of have done it the way that we have been talking a little bit from the start, it's going to be a smooth transitioning. It's you opening the card for them to come and take the next step together with you. It's not more than that. It's just an invitation. So actually these parts sits in here more than it do strategy. It's not so much what you actually do as it is who you are when you talk about that offer, right? So it's more look within than it is strategy when it comes to the transitioning into the offer, okay?
I definitely agree, and as you say, the kind of like the sales or the service starts from the moment that you start the. In our case, we held a big Zoom call, right? It starts the moment that the first person joins into the Zoom. How do you show up? How do you sit there? How do you present yourself? How do you present your whole kind of like the whole webinar or the whole masterclass? What is the experience that they're getting from you? Is it like, depending on who you are, because not everyone is the same, and that is key, because people want to work with you. They don't necessarily want to work with someone else or your peer, whoever that might be doing the same thing as you are doing, but they want to work with you. And the first step they took was actually to sign up to your webinar. That was their very first step, to say, hey, I'm interested in learning from you. And I think that is the biggest mistake I did in my earliest webinars, because you also say, Angela, you also say that focus on the people who are there. Do not focus on the people that are not there. And I was like, I focused on the people who didn't sign up. I focused on the people who didn't show up to the webinars. I focused on everyone, but the people who were really there. I was so afraid of not, making everyone who had signed up and everyone who didn't sign up to feel that they should kind of like they were getting all the value that I could share. And I think that is also key. If we then
when it comes to
sorry.
So I can just add to that. When it comes to the offer itself, and since we talked about the transition, your offer is not for everyone. Don't try to convert everyone. It's not for everyone, right? So you need to also understand that you will never ever convert 100%, and that is a good thing. It's a good thing. You need to have the right people inside.
Yeah, exactly. You want to have, exactly as you say, you want to have the right people. You want to work with the most amazing people. And that, I know you spoke about it already. You spoke about being a leader and being kind of like a confident leader. And when I held this masterclass, this wasn't the first event that I've held, the first online event. I don't know how many I've held before, but this was the first time I held about this topic. It was the first time that I had so many. We had over 350 organic leads coming into the masterclass. So and we were trying to sell an offer that we hadn't ever sold before. We had sold it, like we had a case study on it, but we haven't sold it in a group coaching setting before. So it was a totally new offer that we were leading people into. So obviously I was super nervous about that, but it's about the energy. It is about showing up as the leader. Did I know what I was talking about? 100%. Could I help the people? Of course I could. Not everyone who was there felt that I could help them. Was I confident that I could help at least one person? 100%. And that's all it takes to know that you can be able to help one of those people that have registered for your webinar.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not so much about, so people get kind of caught up. We talked about it last week, of it needs to be in a specific way, otherwise it's not going to convert. But it's more about who you are when you actually do it than it is what you are doing. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. It doesn't matter how fancy your slides are. That has nothing to do with it. It's about you. And if you want to convert your audience, you want to be able to lead them into a decision. You want to show them that you are the person that can lead them from where they are to where they want to go. That doesn't happen with fancy slides. That happens with your energy, how you actually show up. And I know when we talk about confidence, oh yeah, but it's not going to be best confidence the first time. And it's totally fine, because this takes some time. This was not Josephine's first kind of event, right? But you need to kind of relax and understand that they signed up to hear you, to watch you, to be in the room with you. That already puts you as a leader. Now you just want to also show up as that leader and show them, I am the perfect person to help you go from A to B, because this is my stories. This is my conviction. This is my beliefs. This is my expertise. And this is my opportunity for you, right? So that has all to do with energy. Even if you run it the first time, it doesn't matter. But of course, when we run the reps, we are going to become more confident. That is obvious. But you need to believe in yourself. And that starts here. You need to believe in your offer. That starts here. You need to believe that you can help people. That starts here. A lot of these virtual events starts with you, not with the techie strategy part. That is the wrong way to start. You need to start within when it comes to connecting with your audience, right? That is what's going to kind of put you here, and all the copy and paste stuff over here. That's what's going to differentiate you from those things, right? It's you.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be perfect. Look at your masterclass, right? It's never ever going to be exactly perfect. That is the beauty with it. That is why I love it. That is why the audience love it. So that if that helps you grow more confident, knowing it's not need to be perfect, absolutely. Right?
What Angela refers to is that I totally capped
Yes.
the number of people that were able to get into the Zoom room. Not on purpose. I thought I had upgraded to the right, because we had so many registrations. We had over 350 organic leads, and in total over 570 people in total that have registered for the masterclass. But I managed to cap. I didn't upgrade the right Zoom Zoom product. So I managed to cap that. We weren't able to let everyone in because it was capped. Luckily, I didn't know about it until afterwards. I noticed that my messenger started to ping me with my business manager. She was pinging me, but I kind of like, I'm so in the zone. I need to focus on the masterclass. Did we kill anyone with this mistake? No, we didn't. Did it impact our kind of conversion rate? Potentially, most likely. But that's also things. We also learned a lot, and we got a great story out of it. I posted about it. I showed myself as authentic as I am, this is what you get, right? I am not perfect. No one is perfect, but we have to try. And the thing is that one of my business mentors said, he said, if you knew that your 11th webinar or masterclass is a successful one, how fast will you fail through the first 10 ones? And it is about that very first one, to start doing the first one or second one or third one, or in my case, I don't know how many, 20th or whatever. It's like you learn by each and every one, and you can't think that what worked in 2019 or 2020, it doesn't work any longer. And that is why I'm so excited also that we get to invite people to your next free training. Angela, tell us a little bit about your next free training and what it is that you will cover there.
Yeah, so as you said, what worked before doesn't work anymore. And the reason for that is the easy access to information online and the massive amount of noise. So the webinars, the shorter and also the longer, but now we talk about specifically shorter, the one 45 minutes to 1 hour, needs to look different. We have talked about it for 2 sessions. So in that free training, I'm going to talk about how to fill it in 2024, how to run presentations that converts in 2024, and how to sell in 2024. But I will also talk about the biggest shifts and changes compared to before that we now can see when it comes to events. And we're also going to look at the entire year, how you can actually run the reps of this to convert clients consistently like this, to run the cycles. So that is what that training is going to be. It's the Sell with Webinars Evolution training. So we're going to talk a lot about shifters, because a lot of you might run events already, some kind, and now they turn into crickets and you can't identify why. That is what we are going to do in that free training. So, and it's free. So come and join, okay?
Yeah, and I will add the link underneath this video as soon as we've finished streaming this live. So come and join us, register for that live event. If you haven't watched the first episode of this mini episode, which was about lead generation, go ahead and do that now too, because you still have time, unless you just notice this and we are just, you know, the masterclass will be held immediately after that. So come and join us, register for the masterclass. We are so looking forward to seeing you there, and to be able to support you in getting your masterclasses as successful as mine was. I got 16 new amazing clients, and we're running them through my LinkedIn Breakthrough program for the very first time, and that is amazing. So come and join us inside of the Sell with Webinar Evolution training. The link is underneath this one. Thank you so much